Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you around the world, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Wellington Lee, and I'm a product manager for Azure Virtual WAN. For those of you who have been following Azure Virtual WAN from the beginning, welcome back. And for those of you that are new, welcome to one of the coolest networking solutions that Azure has to offer. Today, we'll be talking about remote user connectivity and how to simplify networking with Azure Virtual WAN. Briefly, we'll be giving an overview of Virtual WAN for those of you that are completely new to this service. We'll also cover some key partner announcements. We'll talk about remote user connectivity, something that we've noticed has become more and more important within the coronavirus pandemic. We'll go over the basics of the service. How does it actually work? And then we'll talk about a few exciting features we're releasing to ensure that you guys can succeed in a remote workforce. Then we'll talk about a few other features in Virtual WAN, and then we'll end with a demo on a network virtual appliance that has been integrated in a Virtual WAN hub. We're very excited for this announcement, so please stay tuned for more details on this. All right, let's dive right in and answer a burning question. What exactly is Azure Virtual WAN? Virtual WAN provides a platform that puts routing, security, and monitoring behind a single pane of glass. At the beginning, we focused on branch connectivity, and then we expanded into private connectivity. We then created fully meshed hubs, and we became custom routing, which enabled numerous permutations of routing scenarios. We also introduced security through Azure Firewall. We also partnered with a bunch of SD-WAN VPN providers to automate terminating SD-WAN VPN tunnels in Azure. We also partnered with a few companies to put their MVAs, their network virtual appliances, inside of the Virtual WAN hub. We already have Cisco and Barracuda, and we're very proud to announce the VMware SD-WAN solution in the Virtual WAN hub today. Now that we've had a brief history lesson and overview of Virtual WAN, let's talk a little bit about how you can build, design, and deploy a Virtual WAN deployment. So let's just start really small. You have a few mission-critical workloads in Azure. Maybe you have a server or a database, and you want all of your stores, maybe a few bank branches, or an office building to be able to access these resources. You also have a couple of remote users, what we call point-to-set remote users, that need to access resources in your offices or in Azure. So you decide to deploy a virtual hub in West US near San Francisco and attach your buildings, networks, and people to it. And what Virtual WAN does is that it automatically connects all of these people and building together seamlessly. It's all done for you. Then you want to expand worldwide. Maybe you hire a team in Melbourne in Australia, and maybe a few people in Singapore. And maybe you open a few new stores in Rio de Janeiro, in Brazil, or Johannesburg, in South Africa. You decide you want to expand to Asia first, so you deploy a virtual hub in Southeast Asia. You have some remote workers in Thailand, and maybe in Singapore, and you have branches in the area that need to access resources in Azure. You also want to secure the traffic, because maybe some users shouldn't be able to access certain virtual networks deployed in this region. So you deploy an Azure Firewall inside of your Virtual WAN hub. Now, we have two separate hubs, one in West US near San Francisco and one in Singapore. The logical next step is, well, how do we actually connect all of these hubs together? So Virtual WAN brings in a concept of fully meshed hubs, which allows hubs in any geographic regions where Azure is supported to talk to one another over the Microsoft backbone. And this also brings us to the concept of any-to-any routing in Virtual WAN. To be clear, this actually means that any branch, whether it's your remote users, your site-to-site VPN sites, or your express route circuits, they can all talk to any other branch or any other virtual network connected to the same Virtual WAN. We see that we are able to see traffic traverse from a branch to a VNet connected to the same hub. And you also see the same thing for branches in the same hub. And now here's the coolest part of Virtual WAN. A branch connected to your hub in San Francisco can reach branches connected in Brazil, Australia, or Europe, anywhere we have an Azure region. And this traffic, all of it flows through the Azure backbone. We support traffic from VNet to VNet in the same hub. We also support traffic going from branches to internet in what we call the internet breakout scenario with Virtual WAN through Azure Firewall. And if you prefer, you can also use a third-party firewall such as Zscaler, iBoss, or Checkpoint. And the same thing is supported for VNet to internet traffic. And lastly, to finish the entire any-to-any scenario, a branch can hit any single VNet connected to the Virtual WAN, no matter which hub you're connected to. And to be clear, while we have all of these any-to-any capabilities, you can also manage the traffic flows in Virtual WAN to not allow certain regions to talk to one another or certain branches to access certain VNets. It's all part of our custom routing capabilities. So taking a step back, Virtual WAN allows you to effortlessly set up all of these traffic flows. Imagine setting all of this up by yourself. You have to deploy a router into a virtual network. You have to peer all of the virtual networks that contain your Azure workloads. You have to manually set up an express route gateway, the VPN gateways, and you have to configure all of the routing. So this is a lot of work. So why not let Azure Virtual WAN take care of all of this for you? We take care of the messy business of routing and setting up all of these configurations, and you can focus on growing your business and creating the next big thing that your customers love. To be clear, Virtual WAN supports both small and large deployments. You can start small in a single region like we did in our example, and then as you grow comfortable with the technology, you can stay small if that's what you're comfortable with, or you can grow bigger. We know that a lot of our customers care a lot about scale, and they want to have massive deployments. So we support up to 8 express route circuits connected to a single hub, up to 100,000 remote users connected to a single hub. We'll talk a lot more about this later. 1,000 VPN connections on a single hub, and 500 VNets connected to a single hub. We can meet the needs of both your small and large deployments. So what else is special about Azure Virtual WAN, and what thought have we put into making sure everything is as easy as possible for you? Well, to start off, we allow you to run IPsec tunnels over your express route circuits to encrypt your traffic. We also implemented a global traffic management solution for remote users to make sure your remote workers can always access critical workloads in Azure. We also partnered with a few SD-WAN VPN partners to automate the process of connecting your branches to terminate in our Azure VPN gateway. Now that you have a sense of the basics around Virtual WAN, you need to bring in routing intelligence. In each of the Microsoft managed hubs, we have a virtual router that automatically performs the hub-to-hub traffic and any-to-any connectivity. The router has 3 Gbps at its base and scales up to 50 Gbps. We support transit between VPN, ER, branches sitting behind a telco, and branches sitting behind an SD-WAN VPN device in any region. And the key here is that all this traffic flows along the Microsoft Azure backbone. We also have custom routing, where if you deploy 3 simple concepts, route tables, associations, and propagations, you can create numerous permutations of routing scenarios. For instance, you can route traffic to a shared services VNet, or you can route all traffic to a virtual network appliance that is sitting in a spoke virtual network. By the way, we've begun an effort to integrate these MVAs into our Virtual WAN hub, and you can connect either to the native Azure VPN gateways or a partner gateway, whatever makes you feel the most comfortable. And what this provides for you is that it provides no hazard routing and provisioning and high availability. Imagine the possibilities. This allows you to focus on your business without worrying about any of the routing stuff that's going on behind the scenes. If you're wondering about pricing, it's actually pretty simple. We charge 25 cents an hour to provision a hub because there's a virtual hub router inside of it with 3 Gbps capacity. And of course, it auto scales up to 50 Gbps. We also charge for hub-to-hub traffic as it crosses regions, and you only pay for traffic that's leaving a hub. We also charge a data processing fee on the router. This means, however, we will not charge for traffic that goes between VPN and ER. For the actual connections themselves, we employ a 2-part pricing model. The first part is paying for aggregate capacity, and this is the scale units you choose. And you also pay on a per connection basis. And just a final note on pricing, we only charge for traffic that's leaving Azure. Entering Azure is free. So that was a lot of information about Virtual WAN, so let's do a really quick recap. So Virtual WAN is a unified framework for networking, security, and routing using the Microsoft backbone. Virtual WAN supports both large and small-scale deployments. You can use as much as you want or as little as you want, and we're committed to providing you with the ease of use and setup and customized routing to support all of your business needs. Now, let's dive a little bit deeper into remote user connectivity, a use case that has become more and more important as we collectively handle the new realities within the coronavirus pandemic. Now, let's explore how remote user traffic is managed in Virtual WAN. Traffic is managed with a combination of profiles, a built-in traffic manager, and a point-to-site VPN gateway that terminates your remote user connections into Azure. There are 2 types of profiles: hub-level profiles that you download directly from the virtual hub, and WAN-level profiles that you download directly from the virtual WAN itself. Let's say we have a user who downloaded their profile from Hub 1. They connect directly to the traffic manager that is sitting in Hub 1 and all the routing is taken care of. The same thing holds from a user who downloaded their profile from Hub 2. However, the WAN-level user downloads a WAN-level profile and connects directly to a global traffic manager. Let's say for now the user is working in San Francisco. Hub 1 in West US is closer. So the global traffic manager connects the user to hub 1. Let's say this user then takes a business trip to Melbourne. The Australian hub is now closer to the lower latency. So now he or she will have their traffic routed to the Australian hub. So this is really amazing because this is a global traffic manager that's part of our service. Most people, what they have to do is they have to find a global traffic management solution and then chain it with their remote connectivity applications to create this full end-to-end solution. If a virtual WAN remote user is roaming around the world, they can connect from literally anywhere, and you can rest assured that they'll have the best performance possible in accessing their workloads in Azure. So now let's get down to our first remote user feature announcements. We know that with COVID sending everyone to work from home, there's never been more demand for remote user connectivity. As a result, we've allowed customers to deploy more scale units to support up to 100,000 users connecting to a single virtual WAN hub in a region. And this allows for 200 Gbps of aggregate capacity. We've optimized the gateways in the backend to handle this increased load and ensure that your remote users will have fast, seamless, and reliable connectivity to Azure. On the right side of the screen, there's a screenshot of the portal where you can deploy up to 200 scale units and specify your own address pools that get assigned to the connecting clients. The second feature we're announcing is multiple authentication for remote user connectivity. We realize that some of our customers need flexibility in deploying their hybrid solutions. Not all users or devices can use all these authentication methods. So if you select the OpenVPN protocol, we can support any subset of Azure Active Directory, Radius, and certificate-based authentication. And the best part is that you can download the profiles needed to configure your Azure VPN profiles effortlessly. All the different authentication mechanisms are packaged into the zip file that you can download, and you can just install the profile you want to use on your device. We've also revamped our portal experience and provided a nifty little wizard for you to choose which authentication types you want. After you select OpenVPN, you can select whether or not you want certificate-based authentication, and then you can put in the relevant details. Then you can select whether or not you want radius-based authentication. Lastly, you can select whether or not you want AAD authentication. The next feature we're announcing today is custom IPsec for remote user connectivity. Some of you guys might have compliance requirements from legal regarding what sorts of encryption or integrity algorithms are used, and here we're allowing you to choose those parameters, both in IKE Phase 1 and IPsec Phase 2. And you can click the link on this slide for more details on what's available for your customization in terms of parameters. Our last remote user feature is supporting multiple Radius servers attached to a single hub. This allows you to have resiliency and HA across Radius servers in the same region and hub. In the future, we'll also be enabling a hook for you to change routing weights. If for some reason you want to favor traffic going to one of the two Radius servers, you will be able to modify the weights and have that behavior. And now, let's move on to some announcements in the general routing and VPN world. So the first VPN feature we're announcing is site-to-site NAT. A lot of you guys might have offices that have overlapping private IP address spaces that want to access Azure. Once the traffic gets to Azure, our VPN gateway has no way to figure out which branch the traffic came from because the source IP addresses are the same. And the same thing could be true if you merge with another company or you acquire a different company. You might want the target company to have access to your corporate network in Azure Virtual WAN, but some of these companies might have the same private IP addresses as you. So our solution to this problem is allowing you to specify NAT rules on your VPN gateway, and these rules are specifically associated with connections. For instance, let's look at the diagram on the right. There's two branches with the same exact IP address base. We assign a role mapping 192.168.1.0 to 10.1.1.0 associated with connection 1. What this means is that all traffic that's coming in from branch 1 will have the source IP address in a packet modified to the 10.1 space. The virtual workloads, the virtual machines, the virtual networks, your workloads in Azure will see the packet as if it had come from 10.1.1.0. But when the reply is sent back to the VPN gateway knows exactly where to send the traffic to. It knows to send it to branch 1. We're also now enabling you to put a 0/0 route in the default route table to route all of your traffic to your favorite MVA in a spoke VNet. Note that this routing only applies locally or to branches or VNets connected to the same hub. The 0/0 route will not propagate between hubs. We're also enabling the ability to support multiple next hop IP addresses in a spoke VNet. For our last announcement, we're super excited to announce VMware SD-WAN integration in the Virtual WAN hub. This provides for no hazard routing, provisioning, and high availability. This integration enables SD-WAN flows that terminate in a VMware edge inside of a hub, and an Azure firewall, and this is a service that combines SD-WAN and security. This means this is a SASE, Secure Access Service Edge solution in Virtual WAN. And by the way, if you want to use an MVA in a spoke VNet, you can do this as well. Now I'm going to pass it off to Tejbir Bath from the VMware team, who will provide a quick demo and some more details on this offering.
My name is Tejbir Bath. I'm a Senior Staff Solutions Architect here at VMware. In this short demo video, we'll showcase a new integration between VMware SD-WAN and Virtual WAN. In this demo, we have deployed two VMware SD-WAN edges in cluster mode inside a virtual hub. These edges can be deployed using our managed application that's available on Azure portal today in preview mode. Using this app, customers can automate the deployment and activation of SD-WAN edges in a vHub. Once these edges are deployed, they build a BGP neighborship with Azure Route Service to exchange routes dynamically. We also have two branch locations, one with LTE and second with the broadband internet connectivity. These branch locations automatically connect to edges in vHub via SD-WAN overlay, thus extending our DMPO capabilities right into the Azure cloud. To demonstrate a connectivity, we have a user behind branch 1 trying to access a web server in Azure VNet that's paired with the vWAN. And to provide that extra security, we have inserted an Azure firewall in the traffic path. Now let's jump into a demo. We are now on the VMware SD-WAN orchestrator. We can see we have a branch 1 with LTE connectivity, branch 2 with the broadband Verizon connectivity, and other two are the VMware SD-WAN edges that are deployed in vHub connected via Azure Cloud. Now let's see, do we have a BGP neighborship with Azure Route Service? If we look here, all of those edges deployed in vHub, they have BGP neighborship up, and we are learning 4 prefixes from the Azure Route Service. Let's go back to the overview and look into the branch 1. So the branch 1, let's see how many paths it has. It's connected to 3 SD-WAN peers, and one of them is the VMware SD-WAN edge in a vHub. If we click on it, we can see the path name that is connected from LTE connection to the Azure cloud, and these are the path statistics. Look at the sources. So this shows there's one user that's sitting behind this branch accessing multiple applications. If we look into the destination of that branch, we can see that it's one of the application is accessing is a web server sitting on 10.6.0.4 on Azure VNet. So let's see if there are any active flows right now from that user to that web server. Let's jump over to the remote diagnostics of branch 1 and list the active flows on that branch 1. We can see that we have 3 flows. One is TCP port 80. And then another one is SSH connection. And to see that if these flows also hit Azure firewall, let's go into Azure portal and see if the Azure firewall sees this traffic. Let's go in here and run that command again and collect all the firewall logs for that virtual WAN hub firewall. So we can see that firewall is also seeing the same traffic, and SSH traffic is getting denied because that's the policy on the firewall. And the port 80 traffic is getting allowed, but that's what's configured on the firewall. So this concludes our demo. To find out more about this solution, please reach out to us at sdwan.vmware.com/partner/Microsoft. Thank you.
Just to wrap things up, Azure Virtual WAN is a unified framework for networking, routing, and security on the Microsoft global backbone. Today, we're very proud to announce a key new partnership with VMware SD-WAN, as well as a few key features that we feel will make you and your remote workforce very successful. We're announcing the ability to connect up to 100,000 users to a single virtual WAN hub, and we're also announcing the ability for you to specify multiple authentication methods on a single virtual WAN hub. We're also allowing you to customize your IPsec parameters to ensure you're in compliance with regulations, as well as supply multiple radius servers for a single virtual WAN hub to ensure high availability. We're also very proud to announce the private preview of the site-to-site NAT feature for overlapping branches, as well as the ability to route all of your traffic to a spoke virtual network that has your favorite network virtual appliance sitting in it. Remember that the ethos of Virtual WAN is to make it very easy for you to set up, deploy, and manage your routing needs. Why not let Microsoft Azure Virtual WAN take care of the messy business of routing, leaving you much more time to focus on growing your business and making the next big product that millions of people around the world will enjoy? Now, I'm sure we couldn't cover everything during this short session today, and I'm sure you have a lot of burning questions. So please reach out to us at azurevirtualwan@microsoft.com, and someone from the team will be more than glad to help you out. Thank you so much. This is Wellington Lee signing off, and have a nice rest of your day.